Hey everyone, so I am in the bathroom today and I'm actually removing the subfloor. So you might be a little bit confused by why I'm doing that after doing all this work over here to patch it. I went on a couple forums and the plywood here that I have down is 5/8 of an inch and I'm going to be putting down tile. So a lot of the people on one of the tile forums that I went on said 5/8 is an absolute minimum for tile. And being that this subfloor is 36 years old, I was told that if I want to tile over this subfloor, I'd have to add another at least 3/8 of an inch of plywood on top of the existing 5/8. And that's not something I want to do because that'll increase the floor height in here so much that it won't even come close to matching up with the hardwood floors that run in the hallway down here. So I just decided to go ahead and just pull the whole subfloor up and put down 3/4 of an inch plywood instead of the 5/8 that's here. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. I went to Harbor Freight yesterday and got this tool here. It's called a toe kick saw, and what that does is generally it's used for when you're trying to replace flooring in a kitchen where you have a cabinet or like an island and you're trying to get right underneath that island or cabinet. Toe kick. And so you want to get up really close and flush with it and cut into that flooring and remove the flooring without having to remove the island or the cabinet. So that's what this is used for. And it also has, the same purpose in here where I'm going up against wall studs and sole plates in here and cutting out the material and the plywood that's in here. So as you can tell right there, you can see I've already started to cut around there. This tool is a very interesting tool to use. You have to be really on your P's and Q's when you're using it. And the one thing you have to remember is do not try to go backwards. Once you try to go backwards with the tool, it'll kick back pretty violently on you. I've already experienced that at least one time. So the motion is only forward motion, no backwards or reverse motion. There are some areas like in the corners that the saw cannot reach. That probably got within about 2 or 3 inches of the corner. So I'm going to be using a reciprocating saw probably to trim those corners, and so I have everything all flush up to the sole plate. I went on the tile forum, and I put in hardwood floors before, so I'm fairly familiar with a lot of the terminology and things that they use. But one of the things they talked about was deflection rating, and so the higher the number in terms of deflection rating, the better. And that takes into account more than anything your joists, so your floor joists underneath the floor here, and then the span between your beams or your foundation wall. So in other words, if I have a beam about right here, my foundation wall is over there, and say that foundation wall is about 8 feet away, you can actually calculate your deflection based on, and also it factors in wood species too. Southern yellow pine and Douglas fir are two species that are typically used a lot of times to build floor joists. I know in this area, Pacific Northwest, I think we use Douglas fir more than anything. And so there's a calculator you can use online. If you put in deflectolator, and I'll actually put a graphic up so you can see how that's spelled, and maybe I'll put a link up also, but deflectolator is the name of the calculator that you can use. Basically how this works is that you have to get the blade up to let the blade get up to the RPM that it should be at. I think it's like 4,500 RPM before you plunge it into the floor. So what I've done is I kind of got it right up next to here. Then I'll lift up on it a tiny bit, and there's a little trigger or a button right here, a safety switch. You hit that button, and there's a trigger here. And then after you hit the trigger, you can take your finger or thumb off the safety switch here. So I'll go ahead and show you how this works. Hopefully it doesn't kick back on me while I'm doing this. And actually you just need to make sure also that this bottom part is flush, and that there's nothing sticking out. Like I had a staple on the floor behind me over here, I had to pull that out. And I have a nail right here. So I'll just nail that in, get that out of my way. Just want to make sure you have a flush, you'll have it flush all the way down here. And also check your wall studs. If your wall studs are protruding over the sole plate, then you're going to have issues there too. So let me go ahead and finally get started. You want to hold it with 2 hands. Okay, so that's how it works. You just plunge it in, and it's always forward. Do not go backwards. If you go backwards, this thing will try to eat you alive. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and continue on the rest of the floor, and hopefully we can get this subfloor out of here today and start getting the new stuff in. I have tongue and groove 3/4 of an inch plywood. That was what I was told. It should be the minimum. As you can see, I have an assortment of tools in here just to cut out the subfloor. And I cut over here, got a little straight edge there just to make sure I don't cut too far into the hallway. And so you can see the VersaCut was able to get within about 1.5 inches there, and then 1.5 inches on that side. I had to move the straight edge, because I had to flip the tool around. The cut going that direction and then cut going this direction. Made a really nice, clean, straight cut. And so what I'll have to do is take a chisel and chisel the rest of that out. And same thing with a lot of these corners. Got the toe kick saw. Did a really nice job. I'm really impressed with the way this tool worked. Saved me a lot of time.